Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni, the great Malabite. Malabite.
Good morning, Roland.
Action.
Good morning, Fai. Good morning, Victoria. Tundu MKO Abiola.
Good morning.
Yes.
Mr. Efeni.
Let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. Yes, a number of stories on the front page, but let's just deal with the lead story first. Raid on Odili'S residence. We shall resist clandestine attempts to silence us, Chief Justice of Nigeria warns. Says warrant of arrest must henceforth be approved by chief judges. Malami commends judiciary for preserving nation's democracy. The quote in front page taken from the Minister of Justice. Justice Ibrahim Mohammed is Chief Justice of Nigeria. No one, irrespective of his or her status, opposition in the country should test our will, because the consequences of such unwarranted provocation will be too dire to bear. Justice Ibrahim Mohammed, the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Yes, it's about time the judiciary take a tough stand, where you hear that all kinds of security agents find time to invade judges' home under one guise or the other. And it couldn't have come at a better time on the heels of that attack at the residence of Justice Mary Odili. As we speak, we are here to get to the bottom of that matter. So I think it's a welcome development that the Chief Justice of Nigeria is taking a tough stand on this matter. And I hope all those who care should listen and listen well. Now, the photograph on the front page of this day above the lead story. Finally, Aito plugs Nembe leak. Yes, and I saw that report from Ovietimi, where Ovietimi, George, our hard-working correspondent, who was also there to capture it live. And the workers were celebrating. Well, in other climes, they will be sad because this leak was 1 month, 8 days. It took 1 month and 8 days to plug or cap that well, as it were. And the devastation to the environment, the Santa Barbara River, the adjoining communities, and beyond, I don't think it's something anybody should smile over or play down. Because only last week, the company, Aito, went on what looked like a media blaze to even call out that some journalists don't know what they are talking about on the leak. And for added effect, a group came out, I don't want to mention their names, to say nobody should politicize the Nembe blast. Something that is very clear. And it is on record, Ruben Rufai and Tundu, that before the minister got there, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, before the governor of the state got there, Arise News was there live to bring it. The magnitude of that spill, of that blowout, of that environmental pollution to the whole world. So what we want to hear after this capping of that well, we want to see remedial measures, not only to the people of Nimbe, whose source of livelihood has been devastated, but how that environment will be cleaned and compensation paid to people who have lost economic trees all around there. I move on to other newspapers quickly. Of course, the Daily Independent newspaper is also reporting on the Chief Justice of Nigeria. We will resist future attacks on the judiciary. Chief Justice of Nigeria, one security operative, says enough is enough. Now, if we look at the Guardian newspaper, Omicron airline tour operators lament losses as Saudi Arabia cancels Hajj. World Health Organization, Omicron reported in 57 countries Hospitalization to rise. Different, tougher variant of Omicron spotted in South Africa, Australia, Canada. Not only in Africa, Australia and Canada. So those who are in the habit of banning African countries should take note that this other variant has been spotted in 3 countries, including Canada, that has banned flights from Nigeria. And if we look at other newspapers also reporting this story, yes, Daily Trust newspaper, tour operators, airlines count losses as Saudi bans Nigeria. Our plans disrupted passengers. Rescind travel bans. IATA tells governments. World Health Organization warns against discriminatory travel bans. Says Omicron now in 57 countries. Yes, but also on the front page of the Daily Trust, we cannot just gloss over that. The Daily Trust newspaper again, below the photograph. And those are photographs showing the remains of 23 passengers burned to death in a bus by bandits along the Sabon Bini Issa Road on Monday, being buried in Issa town. What a tragedy. Bandits burning passengers. And the report that follows banditry, 23 buried as Sokoto leaders write Buhari on the state of insecurity in Sokoto State. Well, insecurity is now widespread. More widespread than it was in 2015 when President Muhammadu Buhari came to power, and Nigerians, they rightly or wrongly believe that as a former military leader, he will be the one to bring security not only to the northeast but everywhere. But now we know better. Daily Sun newspaper, Buhari rejects electoral bill, asks lawmakers to rework drafts. Compulsory direct primaries infringement on parties' rights. Yeah. Uzodinma, Middle Belt Forum, Arewa Youth, TMG, KIK. Now, here it is. The president, according to this report, has rejected the electoral bill as amended, sent to him. But we have urged on this program a number of times that the president should sign the bill. Whatever correction or further amendments that we want to make, there is still time to do that. But as this report states, the president has rejected it, sending it back to the National Assembly. I hope this is not another rigmarole not to have a new electoral act that will guarantee free, fair, and credible election.
Well, on that note, Emmanuel Efene, let's take a short break. And then after the break, we'll come back to you and the review of the top headlines in today's newspapers. We'll continue. Emmanuel Efene is still here. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Morning Show here on the Arise News channel. Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efene is still here with us in the studio with reports of top stories in today's newspapers from around the world. Great Malabar.
Yes, Ruben, I just dropped the anchor there on that Daily Sun report. Buhari rejects electoral bill. I'm sure we'll talk about that very soon. Now, the Punch newspaper, Nigeria's petrol imports jumped by 55%, hit 2.52 trillion naira in 9 months. Oil marketers, experts blame naira devaluation, crude oil price smuggling. Petrol imports will double next year if federal government delays subsidy removal, says Ipman. Now, we just move over to the Business Day newspaper. Gas producers squeeze after federal government meddles with pricing. The reduction of gas prices from $2.50 per MBB BTN to $1.50 by the federal government to keep electricity tariff low is taking a toll on margins of producers and causing shortages in the local market. That's what the Business Day is reporting. And just beside that report, there is Christmas shopping in Dubai drives demand for dollar. Yes, Nigerians cannot go to UK, but they can go to Dubai. And they are flying there in droves to do their Christmas shopping. The impact, dollar is being sought after by many who want to travel from any source. And you can imagine the impact on the value of the naira. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, Ojodu truck accident. Parents protest forces Lagos State government to close schools. Students on rampage. I panicked when I saw my son's shoes at accident scene. Mother of 17-year-old survivor. Only 2 students died. Council boss FRSC. Lagos keep mum on casualties. Nance demands justice. Why we shut schools? Lagos State government says students' deaths sad, unfortunate. Buhari mourns, consoles parents, relations. Lagos State Transport Management Authority dissociate men from accident. Now, the leadership newspaper, Pfizer recommends third vaccine dose as protection. AstraZeneca slashes jab production. Federal government confirmed expiration of 1 million doses. Vow not to accept short-lived vaccines anymore as booster shots commences on Friday. Yes, booster shots commences in Nigeria on Friday. Now, not many Nigerians have taken this vaccine, even though they are available, because I'm sure if there are willing Nigerians who want to take the vaccine, perhaps a more efficient system of getting this vaccine to the people will not be talking about 1 million vaccines that expired under our nose. Well, for whatever justification we can give, but I'm telling you, when 1 million vaccines landed in Nigeria, if you look at their shelf life and you deploy quickly, I'm sure you utilize it, especially for a country that is not producing, that has been depending on donations to a great extent. Now, just still on this booster vaccine and the impact on Omicron, let's look at Wall Street Journal. Pfizer finds booster impedes Omicron. Test with BioNTech show a third dose blocks variant, but 2 proves less effective. So, good reason for us to commence that the third dose, that's the booster dose in Nigeria for those who are willing. Those who are not willing to even take the first, well, those who are willing should just go ahead and do the needful. Now, other foreign newspapers, quickly, Biden, Financial Times of UK, Financial Times, Biden offers Putin olive branch with proposal for NATO summit. Yes, when you are big, you are big. You cannot bully a superpower like Russia. US seeks diplomatic fix. Russia's concerns address. Fears of Ukraine invasion persist. Joe Biden, the president of the United States, has made a significant diplomatic concession to Moscow designed to prevent an invasion of Ukraine by signaling that NATO will meet with Russia to address and look at the grievances of Russia, especially on the eastern flank. Because if you are bringing NATO close to the border of Russia, you expect them to react. That is the politics, international politics, how it is played, especially among the superpowers. But before we just go, before I come to you, rather, let's look at the Times of UK. Prime Minister orders return to working from home. That's a new rule, among other rules. But Boris Johnson is saying there is no lockdown. Ruben Rufai and Tundu, over to you.
Well, which is the contradiction signposted by some of the Tory MPs, even themselves, who have reacted. How can the Prime Minister be saying, oh, you have to work from home with effect from Monday. From tomorrow, you have to wear masks if you must go to public places like bars and restaurants. And then thereafter, if you must go to crowded places from next week, then of course you must carry vaccine passports provided by the NHS. Those are some of the measures under the Plan B. Some of those measures are already in place in Scotland and Wales. And then, of course, at the time the Prime Minister was announcing these Plan B proposals at the House of Commons yesterday, a vote will be taken early next week. How that will happen, we'll see. But we expect that there will be a lot of rebellion, even from the Tory MPs. But the whole point is, look, people are saying, including Tory MPs, that the government of Boris Johnson faces a moral dilemma. On December 18, 2020, there was a party in the middle of the lockdown by even Downing Street officials, including the spokesperson at the time, Allegra Stratton. Yes, yesterday she resigned, but people are not consoled. They say this is a case of do as I do, not Christmas as I do. So the Boris Johnson government in the UK at the moment is facing very serious crisis. But the other questions are, how will this affect the economy? How are the people reacting? Is Christmas now effectively in the hands of Grinch? Or, in the manner in which, what's his name, Boris Johnson has been described. But what is clear, of course, is that the reproduction rate in the UK is going up. I said the other day, I think on Monday, on Tuesday, that a figure of 356 cases was reported. As of this morning, we have 584 cases. The Scientific Advisory Group on Emergencies is saying hospitalization rate is likely to go up to about 1,000 per day, since we have, numbers increasing threefold, doublefold within 3 days. And that by the end of the year, we could have up to 1 million cases in the United Kingdom. So reproduction rate for Omicron is very high. What is not known yet is the extent of the virulence. So these are the issues that they face in the United Kingdom with regard to leadership. And I asked Michael Wilson earlier on, is this the beginning of the end for the Boris Johnson administration? But nobody may know that yet. But he faces a major challenge with the transmissibility of Omicron, and also with the moral dilemma that he and his team face. But turnaround 24 hours, is this a case of diversionary tactics, or is it the truth, as the experts are saying, that the reality in the UK is not really well known?
Well, there could be a bit of both, but I definitely think he does need people to be slightly distracted from the complete debacle of, that Christmas party. All that cheese and wine simply was not worth it. Yes. And the opposition is actually handling it as they ought to, because I always doubt Keir Starmer's abilities to really make political hay of Boris Johnson's disasters.
But this time, that the Prime Minister has to resign.
This time, he's right on the money. Yes, he's right on the money.
The Daily Telegraph is reporting.
Yeah, and it's not the first time. You remember Dominic Cummings as well. They continue to make one rule for other people and another for themselves, and it looks terrible.
I mean, the real Ebenezer Scrooge here is Boris Johnson. The temerity, the audacity to have gone ahead with a party like that where other people were dying and they couldn't see their loved ones or their family members just shows who Boris Johnson is. He's a Brexit prime minister. He's achieved Brexit, but he cannot stabilize Britain. And I'm happy the likes of Keir Starmer are putting coal to his feet. And he should face the music because he's let his country down. And it has to be said, times without number, he has let his country down. He has dropped the ball. We can go Dominic Cummings. How about his health secretary? Hancock, that was with a woman, frolicking.
Yeah, but at least he resigned just after. Dominic Cummings sat tight like nothing was wrong with what he did.
But this same Boris Johnson tried giving Hancock another job.
Yeah, but at least he resigned immediately. Cummings did not resign, and he was not sacked.
So that's who Boris Johnson is. He is what he is. But I'm not surprised about a man that came into notoriety for writing a false quote as a journalist. That was the first major thing he did in his life. So he has always been like this. I'm not surprised. One thing is certain about the impasse between Russians and Ukrainians. Russia will attempt to invade Ukraine because they have tried it before They have done it with proxies. Most of the fight, they're fighting out of Crimea and some other parts, are Russian-supported proxies that are in Ukraine.
But they said they're protecting Russians who are in Ukraine, who are being targeted.
I mean, he can tell that to the birds.
No, the main point about Russia is saying that NATO is invading, setting up operation in its frontiers. Russia having invaded and annexed Crimea in 2014. And the Americans are putting pressure on the Germans to stay action on the Nord Stream 2, the gas pipeline project with Russia, which could affect Russia economically. But will Russia invade Ukraine? That is the question. And will the NATO allies stand up against Russia playing out outside the international rule system?
Okay. I think what Putin wants to do is the consolidation of the invasion. Most of the fights going on are still being Putin working the strings in the background. But if he has nothing to hide, he should not be afraid that NATO is coming in there. He should not be afraid of the support Ukraine is getting. But it goes back to that grand plan of Putin. Putin, when the Berlin Wall fell, was an officer, a KGB officer in Germany. And we've got anecdotal evidence about Putin saying he will bring back the Soviet Union.
No, but in time past, it's also unthinkable that NATO will be...
It cannot bring back the Soviet Union.
But for NATO to be on the borders of Russia, perhaps will be unacceptable.
We move beyond the Cold War. But quickly, there was this story you took from The Sun.
Yes, I was coming to that.
I'm always very suspicious when only one newspaper carries a particular story.
Okay.
If it's a big story, then of course it will be in every newsroom. That's the rule we maintain in this business, as you know. So contrary to a news report published by the Sun newspaper, President Muhammadu Buhari has not rejected the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which was transmitted to him by the National Assembly last month. Presidency sources who spoke to Arise News said the president had not rejected the bill and was still awaiting feedback from agencies that he had written to, asking for their comments on some sections of the bill. What are these agencies? INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, that would engage with the bill proactively when the electoral process begins, and also the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation. But my own hunch is that, look, when you see a story in just one newspaper, then you doubt it.
Well,
so we have to be cautious.
Ruben,
we have
the
to
president has not signed.
Yes.
And it must not take forever for those agencies to respond to the president.
No, the president still has to December 19th.
So the 19th. But I just need him to sign this bill already, quite frankly.
Yeah. Let's get done with it.
We urge the president to sign.
Yeah.
He signed the PIB into an act with speed, despite protestations, contestations of certain sections.
Don't forget that the president can also raise issues. The only consolation here...
Like he did ahead of the 2019 election, raising issues 4 times?
Yes, the time constraint that existed in 2018, we do not have that now. We still have we have a whole year, okay? So all that the president needs to do is to prevent an ugly situation whereby the National Assembly will have to veto him. If there are observations, those observations should be put in before the National Assembly goes on recess, we understand, on December 15. Any form of ugliness with regard to this all-important Electoral Act Amendment Bill will not even look well for the administration.
But the president should sign first before putting any objection before the National Assembly for further amendments. We're talking of amendments here, Robert.
Okay. There is a process that is enshrined in the rules. We'll see what happens.